Have you ever felt your energy drain just by being near someone, as if their mere presence pulled life out of you? Have you ever trusted someone who seemed so perfect, only to realize later they wore a carefully crafted mask? And have you ever questioned your own reality because someone so effortlessly distorted the truth around you? Today we embark on a journey of deep clarity, a journey guided by ancient Stoic wisdom, the kind of timeless insight that sharpens your mind and strengthens your spirit. Let's uncover not just how to spot darkness in others, but how to guard the sanctity of your own soul. Prepare yourself, because awareness is the beginning of true freedom. Sometimes evil doesn't announce itself with sharp fangs and thunderous footsteps. It arrives in soft smiles, comforting words, and gestures that seem almost too perfect. You feel it. Something isn't right, but it's subtle. It's patient. Ancient Stoic masters like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus warned us, true danger often hides beneath a charming surface. And if you're not awake, not vigilant, it can consume you from within. Today we walk into the hidden battlefield, not armed with swords, but with the sharp clarity of mind. We won't fight fire with fire. We will fight fire with understanding, with discipline, and with the silent power of self-control. Because evil cannot conquer a soul that masters itself. Let's begin. There are people who operate like master puppeteers. You won't notice the strings at first, only the pleasant feeling of being guided by someone who seems to have your best interests at heart. But behind the scenes, they're tugging, twisting, weaving their control into your very decisions. It starts with small praises, subtle suggestions, seemingly harmless advice. It feels good at first, intoxicating even, to be seen, recognized, validated. Yet with every nod of approval they give, they're weaving a net. I remember a colleague once, a man whose words flowed like honey, whose encouragement felt genuine, until slowly, quietly, I realized he was turning my minor missteps into major narratives behind closed doors. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He smiled, a soft, rehearsed smile, and said he was only trying to help me improve. And I questioned myself. Was I too sensitive? Was I truly failing without knowing it? That is how manipulation works. Not with force, but with corrosion. It erodes your confidence grain by grain until you are no longer standing on your own 2 feet, but leaning entirely on the hand that holds your strings. The Stoics taught that clarity and self-control are the shields against such tactics. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." A genuine soul will lead you to independence. A manipulator will entangle you in silent chains. So when someone urges you to follow without honoring your autonomy, step back, reclaim your space, because your mind, your freedom, is yours and yours alone. Once you reclaim control over your mind, no one will ever hold power over you again. There's another kind of danger, even more deceptive. It's not just the one who manipulates you with subtlety, but the one who dazzles you with effortless charm. Their words feel like a balm. Their smile feels like sunshine. Their presence feels like finding the long-lost companion you've always sought. But pay attention. True charm uplifts. It connects. It heals. Fake charm ensnares. It blinds. It lulls you into lowering your defenses. I once knew someone like that, the kind of person everyone loved. He seemed endlessly supportive, endlessly kind. Compliments flowed from him like a river. But when the surface was scratched, when there was no benefit left for him, he turned cold, dismissive, even cruel. The truth is, authentic goodness doesn't need decoration. Real kindness stands tall on its own, without masks, without needing an audience. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you want to know someone's true character, don't listen to how they praise you. Watch how they treat people who cannot offer them anything. Observe how they act when they think no one important is watching. Charm, when used by the virtuous, brings light. Charm, when used by the malicious, hides darkness. So if you feel that uneasy tension beneath someone's perfect surface, trust it. Authentic souls don't need to shimmer to be seen. Remember, true light doesn't need a stage to shine. And then there are the ones who lie, not by accident, but by design. To them, truth is an obstacle, a burden, a limitation to be cleverly circumvented. They don't lie because they are careless. They lie because deception has become their second nature. Each story is carefully crafted, each narrative carefully woven to protect their image, their agenda, their control. Imagine someone who tells elaborate tales about their achievements, making themselves seem indispensable, irreplaceable. You admire them, until slowly, evidence begins to emerge. Documents don't match the stories. Witnesses tell different versions. Reality peels away the mask. And when confronted, they don't apologize, they gaslight. They accuse you of misunderstanding. They drag the conversation into confusion until you question your own memory. This is no accident, it's a strategy. The Stoics teach that truth is resilient. It needs no upkeep. Only lies require constant maintenance, layer after layer to cover the crumbling facade. How do you protect yourself? Pay attention. Are their words consistent under pressure? Do their actions align with their promises? Marcus Aurelius advised, "Do nothing if it isn't right. Say nothing if it isn't true." Don't argue with manipulators. Observe. Trust the slow, steady evidence of reality. Because where words fail, actions always reveal the soul. Truth needs no defense. It stands unshaken through time. There's a deeper fracture inside those who cannot tell the truth, a void they try to fill by weaving illusions around themselves. And often, you're not their only target. They lie not just to manipulate you, but to preserve the fantasy they've built for themselves. A fantasy where they are always the hero, where their flaws are invisible, where consequences are something that happens to other people. Seneca warned, "A good character, when established, is not easily overthrown." Liars don't just betray you, they betray their own soul little by little until they no longer recognize themselves in the mirror. When you catch someone lying, not once but as a pattern, know this: you are seeing the unraveling of a soul at war with itself. Walk away, not with anger, not with spite, but with the calm certainty that their chaos is no longer your burden to bear. And then there are those whose wound runs even deeper, those who feel nothing when they hurt you. No guilt, no regret, no hesitation. The absence of empathy is like a black hole in their soul, an endless hunger that consumes kindness, compassion, and humanity. You pour your heart out, sharing your pain, your struggles, your fears, and they shrug, change the subject, make it about themselves, or worse, smirk at your vulnerability. It's not just rudeness. It's a glimpse into a hollow place where empathy should have lived, a place long abandoned. Seneca observed, "We are born for cooperation, not for conflict." But for some, other people are not companions. They are pawns, tools to be used, instruments to tune and discard at will. When you see indifference to your suffering, don't argue. Don't explain. Recognize it as the warning it is. Protect your peace. Your heart is too valuable to waste on someone incapable of feeling its beats. When you open your heart to the cold-hearted, you lock yourself in the deepest loneliness. Sometimes the evil you encounter doesn't wear the face of cruelty. Sometimes it wears the face of control. Smiling, helpful, ever present. At first you mistake it for care. You think they only want what's best for me, but slowly they chip away at your autonomy. A word of doubt here, a hesitation planted there, an ever-growing sense that without them, you might not make the right decisions. And over time, you begin to question your instincts. You hesitate where you once moved freely. You ask for permission where you once took action. You doubt your voice where you once spoke boldly. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Your mind is your own. Guard it fiercely." Because those who hunger for control are not satisfied with influencing your choices. They seek to own your mind, your doubts, your fears, your hopes. They know if they can plant themselves inside your thoughts, they don't need to chain your hands. Your soul will do it for them. I once trusted someone like that. Their advice felt so reasonable. Their concerns seemed so genuine. Until I realized I was no longer making choices for myself. I was living within the prison of their expectations, mistaking their manipulation for wisdom. Freedom is not just about escaping cages others build. It's about tearing down the invisible cages we let them build inside us. You don't have to break yourself to please others. You only have to remember who owns your mind. And yet, control often doesn't come dressed as domination. It comes dressed as guilt, blame, deflection. The skilled manipulator rarely shouts. They whisper. I'm only saying this because I care. If you hadn't done that, none of this would have happened. You always take things the wrong way. They turn every failing into yours, every mistake into your fault, every wound into a mirror that reflects only your flaws. I remember working on a critical project once. When it faltered, I expected us to share the responsibility. Instead, I found myself alone under the weight of blame, slowly realizing that every misstep had been placed at my feet, neatly, cleverly. These people aren't interested in growth. They're interested in escaping responsibility at all costs. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let no act be done without a purpose." Blame shifters have a purpose, to protect their fragile egos, no matter who they must sacrifice. When you encounter blame games, don't play. Stay calm. Stay grounded. State the facts. Refuse to carry burdens that aren't yours. Because dignity isn't loud. It's the quiet, unshakable choice to stand firm in your truth. When you anchor yourself to truth, you become an unshakable fortress against their storms of blame. There is a darker layer even deeper still. The silent pleasure some take in the pain of others. At first it's subtle, a quick smirk when you falter, a glint of satisfaction in their eyes when you struggle, a casual, almost imperceptible delight at your misfortune. You think you're imagining it. You tell yourself they mean no harm. But with time, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. They thrive not by rising higher themselves, but by ensuring others are pulled lower. I once witnessed this firsthand, a friend who seemed supportive, until I noticed how her smiles grew wider when others stumbled, how her conversations seemed most animated when discussing someone's failure, how she found comfort not in building, but in breaking. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." But these people don't see adversity as a teacher. They see it as entertainment. They don't grow through hardship, they feast on it. You must recognize this sickness for what it is, an emptiness that no success will ever fill, a darkness that no amount of light can satisfy. Protect yourself, distance yourself, because your energy, your victories, are precious. Too precious to be drained by those who find joy in watching others bleed. Guard your light fiercely, because some only gather around to extinguish it. And then there's another weapon they wield, one more insidious, more strategic: isolation. They don't just seek to hurt you, they seek to cut you off. From your friends, from your family, from the voices that remind you of your worth. Little by little, they whisper doubts. Your best friend doesn't understand you like I do. Your family doesn't really appreciate who you are. It sounds like concern. It feels like protection. But it's a slow, deliberate campaign to sever you from your roots. Because alone, you're easier to control. Alone, you're easier to manipulate. Alone, you become dependent on them. Marcus Aurelius taught, "We are born to work together like feet, hands, eyelids." Unity is strength. Division is weakness. Real friends strengthen your connections. Toxic ones tear them apart. When you feel distance growing between you and your true supporters, pause, reflect. Rebuild those bridges before they collapse completely. Those who truly care will never isolate you. They will build bridges, not walls. Envy is another silent destroyer. Unlike open hatred, it rarely shows its face. It hides behind false smiles, masked concern, and carefully crafted words that sound supportive, but subtly tear you down. At first, you think they celebrate you. They clap when you succeed. They nod when you shine. But underneath, they simmer. Their compliments come laced with quiet poisons. You did great, but don't get too confident. That's amazing, but someone else did it faster. Tiny seeds of doubt, planted quietly in your mind, watered slowly by your own insecurities. And before you realize it, you begin to shrink. You question yourself. You diminish your victories to make them comfortable. I once had a friend who excelled at this art. Every achievement of mine was met with a smile and a but. Never outright discouragement. Always a suggestion that I wasn't quite enough. Seneca wisely said, "Envy is the ulcer of the soul." The envious don't want to destroy you with a blow. They want you to destroy yourself from the inside. Recognize their false concern. Trust the quiet unease in your gut when their words don't match the feeling in your heart. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your light, not those who shade it. Real friends amplify your light. They don't dim it to protect their shadows. And among the darkest traits, there is one that stands above the rest: the unrepentant heart. You see, mistakes are human. We all stumble. We all fall. But true evil lies not in falling. It lies in refusing to stand up better. It lies in justifying every cruelty, deflecting every wrong, shifting every blame. The unrepentant heart sees apology as weakness, correction as humiliation, growth as defeat. I once knew someone like this. No matter how obvious the hurt they caused, they always had an excuse, always a reason why it wasn't really their fault, always a story where they were somehow still the victim. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. The unrepentant do not evolve. They calcify. They do not learn from pain. They weaponize it. And the longer you stay in their orbit, the more you too risk becoming hardened. Protect your softness. Protect your willingness to grow. Because your soul, flexible, honest, humble, is your truest strength. And those who refuse to change will only drag you downward. Let them go, without anger, without bitterness. Just the quiet understanding. I choose to rise where you chose to sink. Real strength is not stubbornness. It's the courage to become better. You might wonder, what protects you from all these hidden poisons? How do you shield your mind, your peace, your spirit? The Stoics offer the answer: self-mastery. It is not external armor. It is internal unshakability. No manipulator can control the man who knows his own value. No liar can deceive the woman anchored in truth. No jealous heart can dim the light of one who shines from within. And no unrepentant soul can trap the spirit that refuses to mirror its stubbornness. You don't fight their darkness by becoming darker. You don't match their games with your own. You transcend. You rise. You leave their battles behind, not because you couldn't win, but because you know some victories cost too much. Victory over them would mean sacrificing your soul. And you are not here to sacrifice your soul. You are here to cultivate it, to protect it, to grow it stronger, to make it luminous, even when surrounded by shadows. It won't be easy. There will be moments when you ache for closure, moments when you crave the validation they refuse to give, moments when you want to scream your truth into ears that refuse to hear. Hold steady. Hold firm, because what you're building inside you is bigger than any apology you'll never get. It's stronger than any recognition they withhold. It's more permanent than any temporary slight you suffer. The Stoics understood the greatest revenge is not to prove them wrong. It's to live so rightly, so powerfully, so fully, that they no longer have any power at all. They shrink not because you crush them, but because you outgrew the stage they tried to trap you on. True mastery isn't about crushing others. It's about rising so high they can no longer reach you. There will be temptations along the way, temptations to argue, to correct their lies, to defend your name against whispers. Resist them. When you argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you, you lower yourself into their chaos. You trade your clarity for confusion, your peace for frustration, your dignity for an illusion of winning. Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Stay different. Stay above. Silence is not weakness. It is a fortress. A wall they cannot scale, a mirror they cannot bear to face. In your silence, they see themselves, and that sight terrifies them far more than your words ever could. When you refuse to react, you refuse to fuel their narrative. You starve their ego. You deny them the satisfaction of control, and you reclaim your life. In your journey toward becoming unshakable, you'll also realize something else. You must be selective with your company. Not everyone deserves to walk beside you. Not everyone can breathe at the altitudes you are climbing toward. This is not arrogance, this is survival. Energy is not infinite. Attention is not cheap. Spend them wisely. Surround yourself with people who sharpen you, challenge you, believe in you. Not because you are perfect, but because they see your commitment to growth. Choose companions who would rather correct you gently than flatter you falsely. Choose mentors who will call you to rise rather than encourage you to stay small. Choose friends who celebrate your light without trying to outshine it. Because as you climb higher, the air will thin, and only those with strong lungs and stronger hearts will keep pace. The rest, let them fall away without regret. Not everyone is meant to go where you're headed. and that's perfectly okay. As you continue ascending, you'll notice something extraordinary. Your peace will start to disturb those who live in chaos. Your clarity will offend those who benefit from confusion. Your self-respect will irritate those who thrive on control. And your refusal to engage in petty battles will leave them shouting into the void. Let them. Let them misunderstand you. Let them misrepresent you. Let them stew in narratives you no longer inhabit. Because the higher you rise, the less their noise can reach you. And one day, you'll realize you don't even hear them anymore. Not because they got quieter, but because you move beyond the range of their voices. There's a powerful transformation that happens when you stop needing to be understood. You liberate yourself. You free your time, your energy, and most importantly, your mind. You no longer spend restless nights crafting explanations. You no longer rehearse arguments in your head. You no longer feel the need to defend your heart against those who made up their minds before they heard your truth. You simply live fully, clearly, unapologetically. This is the power the Stoics pointed to, the power that no external insult can take away. Because when you master your own mind, when your peace is built on solid internal ground, no earthquake from outside can bring it down. They can mock you. They can lie about you. They can abandon you. And still, you rise. Still, you walk forward. Still, you become more of who you were destined to be. Freedom begins the moment you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. But make no mistake, freedom has a cost. It costs you comfort. It costs you fitting in. It costs you the illusions you once clung to for safety, because real growth feels like loss at first. You lose the version of yourself that craved validation. You lose the relationships built on superficiality. You lose the belief that everyone deserves a seat at your table. And at first it will feel lonely. The wide circles you once moved in will shrink. The invitations will decrease. The familiar laughs will fade. But in that clearing, something new will bloom. Authenticity, real friendships, real purpose, real peace. Not built on pleasing, not built on pretending, built on the unshakable foundation of who you truly are. It's in the moments of solitude that you finally meet yourself. Not the self shaped by others' expectations. Not the self edited to fit into smaller spaces. Not the self muted to keep the peace. The real you. The you who dreams without shrinking. The you who speaks without fear. The you who acts without apology. And once you meet that self, you will wonder why you ever fought to belong in places that demanded you hide. You will realize that solitude was never punishment. It was preparation. Preparation for the kind of life you once only imagined. A life where you move freely, think clearly, and love deeply, without chains. The greatest irony is this. When you no longer seek belonging at any cost, you start attracting the people who truly belong. The right ones don't demand that you shrink. The right ones don't resent your light. The right ones don't ask you to wear masks to be worthy of their presence. They meet you exactly as you are, and they stay. Not because they need something from you, not because you fill a void inside them, but because your authenticity resonates with their own. True connection cannot be forced. It cannot be manipulated. It cannot be manufactured. It happens when two souls recognize each other, unfiltered, unarmored, undeniable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you nourish your soul with honesty, courage, and peace, you naturally attract others who live the same way. You no longer have to fight to be seen. You are seen effortlessly. You no longer have to beg to be understood. You are understood without explanation. And when you reach this place, you realize something even deeper. Everything they did to hurt you only helped you build this. Every betrayal taught you boundaries. Every insult taught you resilience. Every moment of isolation taught you independence. The very people who tried to destroy your spirit inadvertently forged it stronger. The pain you thought would break you was actually carving you into someone unbreakable. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for a life too solid to collapse under the weight of others' opinions. Preparation for a mind too clear to be fogged by manipulation. Preparation for a heart too full to be drained by those who only know how to take. You didn't just survive them, you transcended, and now your existence itself is a quiet revolution. Proof that darkness cannot conquer a soul committed to light. Proof that resilience is the greatest revenge. The storms they sent to destroy you only revealed how deeply your roots could grow. At this point, something powerful shifts inside you. You no longer measure your worth by how many people clap for you. You no longer define your success by how many people stay. You realize your journey is not a performance. Your growth is not entertainment. Your peace is not public property. It is yours. Sacred, private, unshakable. And this realization changes everything. You stop chasing. You stop explaining. You stop negotiating your value. Instead, you build. Quietly, steadily, relentlessly. You invest in your mind, sharpening it like a blade. You invest in your body, strengthening it like a fortress. You invest in your spirit, grounding it like an ancient tree. And because of that, you start to live differently. You walk into rooms without scanning for approval. You share your truth without dressing it up for palatability. You make decisions without seeking a committee's permission. You trust yourself fully, not because you think you're infallible, but because you know you can withstand mistakes, learn from them, grow stronger because of them. This is the true freedom the Stoics spoke of, the freedom that no tyrant, no critic, no manipulator can ever steal. Freedom that begins not in the world around you, but in the fortress within you. And when you move this way, something else happens. You become dangerous to the systems that rely on your silence, to the manipulators who depend on your doubt, to the forces that thrive on your smallness. Not because you attack, but because you refuse to be controlled. Not because you shout, but because your very existence becomes a statement. You become the embodiment of a principle that a soul in full command of itself is more powerful than any external force could ever hope to be. And the world doesn't know what to do with someone like that. Some will resent you, some will fear you, some will admire you. None of it matters, because you are no longer moved by the applause nor broken by the boos. You are moved only by your own inner compass. When you master yourself, you become the one thing the world cannot manipulate: free. The beautiful thing is, when you no longer live for the applause, you free yourself to live for something infinitely more important: purpose. Not fleeting approval, not shallow recognition, but deep, unshakable alignment with who you are and what you are here to do. You begin to craft your days with intention. You guard your mornings, knowing that how you start determines how you continue. You guard your mind, knowing that what you allow in shapes your reality. You guard your heart, knowing that what you nurture grows. And you realize that the victories the world praises are small compared to the victories that happen quietly when no one is watching. The morning you got up after a night of despair, the day you stayed silent when provoked, the moment you forgave without an apology, the time you chose discipline over distraction, the countless times you chose growth over comfort. These are the victories that matter. These are the battles that forge true greatness. And they don't need an audience because your soul knows. And that is enough. In this place, your priorities shift. You no longer ask, what will people think? You ask, is this in alignment with my principles? You no longer chase, will they like me? You ask, am I honoring the truth within me? Your standard rises, not out of arrogance, but out of reverence for the life you are building. You don't lower your standards to fit into shallow spaces. You raise your standards and trust that the right people, the right opportunities, the right destiny will meet you at the level you were always meant to inhabit. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." And so you do, not through grand declarations, but through thousands of small, often invisible choices, choosing patience over rage, choosing honesty over convenience, choosing discipline over indulgence, choosing compassion over bitterness, day after day, step by quiet step, until the life you live becomes the clearest testament to your strength. Greatness isn't built in moments of applause. It's built in the unseen hours of silent resilience. Along this path, you will face tests. Some will come in the form of critics, voices that try to drag you back to smaller versions of yourself. Others will come in the form of temptations, opportunities to abandon your principles for quick rewards. And still others will come disguised as comfort, the seductive pull to rest when you know you must keep building. Recognize these for what they are, not obstacles to stop you, but sharpening stones to refine you. Every time you hold your ground against criticism, you sharpen your clarity. Every time you say no to easy compromise, you strengthen your discipline. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you fuel the fire inside you that no storm can extinguish. The Stoics understood, life doesn't promise ease. It promises opportunity. Opportunity to rise again and again until the soul becomes unbreakable. You are not here to have an easy life. You are here to have a meaningful one, a life that radiates quiet power, a life that leaves no doubt, not through what you say, but through who you become. And here's the final truth you must remember. Everything you are facing, the betrayals, the humiliation, the isolation, is not happening to you. It is happening for you. It is happening to strip away what is weak, to strengthen what is noble, to reveal the core that no insult, no abandonment, no hardship can touch. Each scar you carry isn't a shame, it's a signature. Proof that you endured, that you transformed, that you chose resilience when surrender would have been easier. You are not defined by who hurt you. You are defined by what you built from the wreckage. You are not measured by how many times you fell. You are measured by how many times you rose stronger. You are not remembered for how you suffered. You are remembered for how you shined after the suffering. This is the Stoic way. This is your way now. You are the storm. You are the stillness. You are the mountain that no wind can move. Your scars aren't signs of defeat. They are the roadmap to your greatness. So as you walk forward from this moment, hold your head high, not out of pride, but out of deep, unshakable alignment with your own soul. Let others gossip, let them doubt, let them twist your story to fit their own small narratives. It doesn't matter, because you know the truth. You lived it. You earned it. You carry it quietly, like a flame cupped between your hands, unseen to many, but powerful enough to light your entire path. You don't need to defend your journey. You don't need to justify your growth. You don't need to dim your light to ease their discomfort. You simply need to continue, in silence when necessary, in power always. Because every step you take forward, every breath you choose in patience, every boundary you uphold with quiet firmness, is a step into the life you were always meant to live. Not a life dictated by fear, not a life shackled by other people's opinions, but a life that is fully, fiercely, beautifully your own. This is the ultimate Stoic victory. Master yourself, guard your mind, protect your peace, and let the world adjust to your presence, not the other way around. You are no longer chasing approval. You are no longer asking permission. You are no longer available for smallness. You are walking into your destiny, silent, steady, unshakable. And that is what they will never be able to defeat.